Welcome to the new NEPA Scene Podcast, the weekly live extension of the most read arts and entertainment publication in northeastern Pennsylvania. We're coming to you live from Studio 201 in downtown Scranton. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. And we're here with Ted Felicetti, the vocalist and guitarist of Stroudsburg power pop punk rock band Don't Panic, who are opening for Bowling for Soup this Friday, March 13th, and releasing a new single and music video on March 20th. So he's going to play a song or two for us right here in the studio. We're going to talk about how he started in Split 50 and ended up forming this band, Don't Panic's long hiatus and their recent reboot, the inspiration behind their new songs and recording at Soundmine Recording Studio, their funny music video they have coming out that was shot at the Sherman Theater with our friends here at Ionic Development, their connection to Bowling for Soup and plans for the future, much, much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you guys. So anything you want to say, anything you want to add to our conversation, anything you want to ask this guy, make sure you leave those comments down below. We will get to them later on in the show. Also, you can stay tuned to the end. I want to kind of briefly discuss the little controversy we've had on our page over the past week and absolutely not apologize whatsoever because it's my website and my writers and photographers can express themselves however the fuck they want. So just want to get that out of the way. That's the beauty of being an independent website, not working for some big corporation. So thankfully, we have some local sponsors who support that and have better things to do than whine on social media all day. So we're going to get to what they have this week. This week, the V Spot, one of those popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. This week, they have Jackson V and Lissa on Thursday. Rockstar Revolution will play all the hard rock classics on Friday. Saturday is parade day, and while there is no actual parade, the bars will go on, and the V-Spot will be probably just as crazy as ever. So this is their 10th parade day. They're opening at 9 a.m., serving breakfast till noon. Adam McKinley is playing from noon till 3. DJ Huff is spinning party songs and hosting karaoke from 3 to 7. And Lightweight is closing the night with live party music from 8 till midnight. DJ Pat Moore is hosting karaoke on Sunday. DJ Aptrick is there every Monday. Jeremy Burke is playing acoustic on Tuesday. And EVZ performs there next Wednesday. Stage West is our other sponsor, the premier entertainment venue for live music, comedy, food, drinks, and special events. And one of the only venues bringing national acts to Scranton on a regular basis. The local folk rock band Remedy Lights will perform with Adam Farley this Thursday. Before the real Tool comes to Wilkes-Barre, Tool tribute band Schism will perform on Friday, March 13th with Revolution Tracks, a Rage Against the Machine tribute act. Anybody who knows the history behind those two bands, that actually will work really well. So on Parade Day, without the parade this Saturday, doors open at noon. New York rock band Wild Plains will play with Wild Energy on the stage from 2 to 5, and then DJ Jam Jam will take over from 5 to 8. Rapper and MTV star Riff Raff is bringing his Cranberry Vampire Tour to Stage West on Thursday, March 19th, with Lucas Hex, Gus the Savage, Jay Lyrical, Ty Soul. The next day, Randy's Cheeseburger Picnic, a comedy show with Randy from Trailer Park Boys, takes over on Friday, March 20th. Local rock band Always Undecided will release their debut EP on Saturday, March 21st, with Michaela Clark, Mellifluous, and Stillcraft opening the show. Anybody who's been to our open mics is probably familiar with some of those names. And Rhett Miller of Old 97s is playing solo on Sunday, March 22nd. So make sure you go out, support local businesses, support local artists, even if you have coronavirus. Make sure that you, wear a mask or something like that, cough into your elbow, whatever other things the CDC recommends that probably won't really help much at all. But hey, they're trying. So I appreciate that. And I think maybe the canceling the parades was the right call. But Parade Day in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area rages on. There's no way you're going to stop that.
Yeah, you're never going to stop people from Pennsylvania from drinking alcohol.
Right, especially with a holiday that gives them an excuse to be alcoholics.
Yeah.
So there's no way that they're going to miss that.
Nope.
As we drink our beers ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, you have Corona.
I brought Corona to the studio just for you.
We're screwed. Well, good thing you guys are watching from home. So let's get into it. How did you get started in music? Was it something that started at a young age for you, or?
So when I was a kid, my dad used to play like in a cover thing at bars and stuff, and so he would always like take me and my brother along. Like half the time, we'd tag along, watch him play, and then I started to get into singing when I moved to Pennsylvania. I was about 10 years old, and I actually was in one of those like singing boy choirs when I was like 10. And we did a lot of touring. Went to Japan, went to all over the East Coast and stuff. And after a while, I turned right around when I turned like 15 or 16, I decided like I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And I was like around 1998, 1999. I started like my first band with my brother and our friend Ian. And there's nothing else to do. We lived in Blakesley, and Blakesley's just like a wasteland of nothing except the Wawa.
There's so many little towns like that in the area.
Yeah, and especially
really not much
even
else to do.
25 years ago or whatever. 25 years ago is even less stuff. And I mean I got a really crappy acoustic guitar from the store for like $80, and it was like one of those things where each of us were friends, we hung out, but we didn't have any training. We didn't know how to do anything. And we just sat in our tape at a couch and we were like, all right, who wants to be the drummer? And then like Rob, my brother, was like, yeah, I'll play drums, So I remember we bought a drum set from this kid who lived maybe a mile and a half down the road for $50. And we actually walked to his house. And then the three of us each carried drums back to my house, like in a mile and a half, 2 miles down the road.
Yeah.
And and then we started a band, and we just practiced every day, like when we were little kids. And then when we were in high school, we started to play, the stuff you do in high school, fire halls and birthday parties and like whatever you can play.
Yeah.
And actually, eventually, like right towards like my senior year of high school, we actually started to do real stuff. Like we started to play real shows, and back then, like a lot of these bands, no one knew who they were, but we were playing like fire hall shows like Coheed and Cambria and My Chemical Romance, and like all these bands that were from the area, or bands that were on tour. We'd do like shows like Yellow Card at the fire hall down the street, or whatever. And we started to do some touring, like about a week at a time. And we were still in high school. Like we would just be like, all right, summer. Let's go on tour. My mom hated it. And I remember my first car ever was a white Toyota Previa van, which looked like a big bar of soap. And we would just jam all of our gear into that thing. And we would just drive all around. And I remember my senior year of high school, a graduation day, I was dressed for a show under my robe because we had a show that night. So me and our bass player Ian, just in our clothes, like under our robes. As soon as the graduation over, we ripped our robes off, got in the car, hightailed it to the show, and we played the show, and then we played every day for like the next like 60 days. It was like crazy. So yeah, that's how it started for me.
That's awesome.
Just like kind of hit the ground running kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Well, Split 50 is a name people recognize around here a little bit.
Yeah.
So you talk a little bit about what did you learn from that experience of doing that band?
Well, so the band I was talking about before, we were called Shortwave Radio, and we used to play with Split 50 a lot, like towards the end of us being a band, and I was a huge fan. Like I loved they're a local area band, but they were just so damn good, especially when you're in high school and they're about 5 years older than me, the rest of the guys, and you would go watch them at a show and you'd be like, holy shit, this is a real band, and like I'm crap, and as my band started to break up, my brother went to college, and we couldn't really play as much anymore. They asked me to join their band because they just wanted to add an additional guitar player. They already had two, so they wanted a third one, kind of like Kansas or something, And the singer Zach knew I could sing and I could write songs, and he knew I was really aggressive about just doing stuff. I was real excited and energetic, so. I joined the band, and I learned so much. I learned everything not to do, for sure.
Right.
Which you do when you're, the first real band.
Young. Yeah.
And we were all young. Like I said, they were 25 years old, and they were the older guys. I was 20. And we started to do some real stuff. We went on the Warped Tour every summer for about 6 years, for 30, 40 shows. And we would, we signed with a record label and like we were putting a real album out. We had a singer from Hatebreed was our manager. Wow. So like we did a lot of cool stuff, but we never really left Northeast PA area, like the New York, New Jersey. It was too hard. And like when you're a bunch of broke 20-somethings, like, you really have to weigh, like, do I want to eat, cereal tonight, or do I want to go play a show and eat nothing?
Right.
And like, when you stop to get gas, everyone's like, all right, everyone's got to reach in their pocket and give $5 or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that we didn't know how to do right in that band. And ultimately, like, that's always what causes a band to break up, is the stress and strain of like doing it for enough time and spending so much money and so much effort and so much time, and then not having a huge return. And you're like, I'm too broke, I'm too young, I can't do this. So like a lot of the bands that will blow up, they probably were on the verge of breaking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just never got that big bump. So Zach, the singer, was like really big into like business stuff. So like towards the tail end of Split 50, he got real involved into being like a show producer and doing a bunch of other stuff. And our guitar player, Josh, was a tattoo artist, and he started to get really popular doing a lot of like Star Wars tattoos, and everyone kind of just like did their own thing. And when the band eventually split up, but I don't know, I learned just like how I wanted to run my new band the most of all. Like the things I didn't like and the things I did like and the things I learned from being in that band. So I took all the good I could take out of it and then made sure to remember all of the bad and keep that separate as well. So hopefully so far we're doing okay.
Now, I had seen on that page there's some talks about a reunion show at some point. Are you guys still talking about that? That idea.
Yeah, it was like this year was the 20th anniversary of the band. I think 20th. So Zach had texted me, him, or something. We just mentioned that, and we're like, oh, we should do one show at like some small room in Stroudsburg. Yeah, and we tossed it around. It's kind of hard because everyone's schedules are like crazy. He owns a bunch of like bars in New York and California and stuff, and he's always flying around. And Josh is like always doing these tattoo conventions, and our drummer Mike is like doing a lot of like cruise ship drumming things, even though probably not anymore because no one's going on cruise ships.
Yeah, right. No, anyway, for sure.
But yeah, it might happen. I've gotten so involved in this project now and like doing this that I've honestly not really given it a lot of thought after we tossed the idea around a little bit. Right. If it happens, it's awesome. I'll do it for sure. But
sure.
It doesn't.
Well, this is your baby, so you really want to focus on that.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally get that. So, the name is a Hitchhiker's Guide reference.
It is.
Which I picked up right away.
Great! I love that.
I figured that was so. Are you a sci-fi guy, or are you
huge? I'm the biggest nerd in the goddamn world.
Okay,
seriously.
Great.
Like, I love Star Trek. Like Next Generation's like my favorite show. I watch episodes every night for fun. Like I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I love Star Wars. My house's basement has a bar. I have my own bar in my basement. It's completely Star Wars theme, like bar. So it's like all the movie posters and all these toys and all that kind of stuff. Everything sci-fi nerdy stuff. I love it.
All right, so let's just talk about that for the next hour.
I'm a big Marvel fan. I always was when I was a kid. I grew up in the early 90s, and the big thing I remember back then was Marvel cards.
Oh, yeah.
And I had all of them, man. I had all of them. I had comic books. I have all the toys. Our drummer, Anthony's the same way. He has a crazy Marvel collection in his one room. So I was so excited when they started doing the movies because I was like, oh, I finally get to see comic books on the screen. Right. And people are like always like, oh, it's not cinema. And it's like, I don't fucking care. I want to watch a comic book on the movie screen. That's why I'm going and paying to see this. I'm not seeing, Gone with the Wind. I'm going to go see Iron Man fight the Mandarin or whatever. You know what I mean?
And this is, like for guys our age, like we had to grow up with like shitty TV movies and stuff like that. Was the closest thing we would ever get to a real superhero movie. Yeah. Like kids today are completely spoiled. It's like
you sound like an old man now.
Yeah, you see something like Avengers, like it's like holy shit, this is a huge budget with like award-winning actors portraying these roles.
I remember when I was like 10, 11 years old, me and my cousins used to get together every summer and go to upstate New York, and my grandparents owned a farm. and we would go up there every summer. And I remember, funny, like to bring that up, is we would actually brainstorm the Marvel movies with the actors that were like around and be like, this person should be this character. And like, we would like make our own Marvel movies because they weren't making those movies yet, It was like 1998 or 97. And, like none of those movies were out or even been attempted.
I remember reading Wizard Magazine used to have a little section in it that was like a casting call or something to that effect. And it was like who they dreamed could play these characters. I remember those,
for sure.
I remember Patrick Stewart as Professor X, of course.
That was our cast.
It was like who else could possibly play that
X,
role?
Patrick Stewart was our Professor X. I remember that very specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, today, some of those movies maybe haven't aged as well or whatever, but for the time, it's like, dear God, these were. It was so cool to actually at least see something on screen that resembled the old stuff.
Awesome.
I mean, there was a Captain America movie. Straight to video on TV with a guy on a friggin' motorcycle and a crappy helmet,
huge wing thing.
Yeah, and it was like that was the closest we were ever going to get, or the
Fantastic Four one that was never released.
I've seen like stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, and that was our hopes for as close as we were ever going to get. Now it's like, geez, we have like these huge actors playing Academy Award winners and stuff. Like and the effects are incredible. So it's like such a joy to see that stuff.
And as for Hitchhiker's Guide, I used to read a lot more. I'll say that.
Okay. We all do.
Yeah.
I think as you get older, it's tougher to find the time.
When I was in high school, I used to like to read, and my favorite book was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I was so excited when they made the movie, which I actually really loved. I thought it was great. It was a little different, obviously. The book is so insane if you've ever read it. Like, there's so much weird crap. They can't really make a movie and expect people to watch it and be like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? So they did a good job of kind of reining it in, but I loved that it said "Don't panic" on the Hitchhiker's Guide itself,
right?
Because it's like, yeah, all right, I get it. Like,
it's a great mantra.
Of course,
general.
and what else? It works right now, literally right now in the world. Like, don't panic. Like, just whatever. We'll be fine, and we'll make it. We always do.
Bring your towel, and you're good.
Yeah. I have a "Don't Panic" towel. It's just mine, just for me.
Nice.
I got it as a present. But that's where the name came from.
Now, has any of that stuff ever played into your writing of the music and stuff at all? Or you just kind of keep that
Not really.
separate?
Yeah, not really. When I write music, I kind of like get into a different mode. And whenever I'm doing anything musical, they're almost very separate for me. I'll spend a couple hours at home playing Skyrim and like just zoning out and forgetting the world. And then I'll do the same thing with my guitar, and thinking about different stuff.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff I sing about or write lyrics about are things that happen to me or things that are important to me. And like, it's a little more, and then sometimes I fuck around and write stupid shit, but I've never been like, I'm not really going to sing about Darth Vader in my song. So like, I don't.
Right.
But I get what you're saying, but yeah. There are bands that do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole genre, I think, in itself.
My friend's band did a whole album about like Mario. So it's like, yeah, I get it. So they're great. Not disparage them.
Totally. I get what you mean, though, because, being a writer myself, I obviously do the journalism thing, but I also write some poetry and stuff like that. And I'm inspired by, like, comic books and sci-fi and stuff, but I don't write about any of that stuff. Like, I don't personally.
Yeah, sure.
It may be some of the themes or just, just the, in general, respect for the writing.
Well, that's usually exclusive to people who are creating their own religion when they like sci-fi and want to make their own religion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you were putting this band together originally, you did this back in like 2009, around that area.
Yep.
So what made you pick those guys, and what made you pick the guys that are in the band now?
Okay, so when I started the band, obviously it was just me. Our Split 50 broke up, and then I said, well, I have all these songs I've been writing that I was going to kind of pitch for the next Split 50 album. It's ironic because we had just signed with this record label called Eulogy Recordings. And we were like, all right, we're going to start working on a new album. So I was like, all right, well, I got like all these songs. I want to show the band. And like maybe like one of my songs had made it onto the last album we put out. So I was like kind of like the George Harrison thing where it was like slowly starting to really push your crap in. And so I had a bunch of songs. And then when the band broke up, I was like, shit, I still want to do this. So like, I'm young. Like I was, 26, and I was like really amped up to play music and tour. And So I talked to Keith, our Split 50s bass player, and I was like, hey man, like me and him just always have gotten along so well. He's like my brother. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm gonna start a new band. Like, do you want to play bass? And he's like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. And the person who played drums for us originally was a guy from up here named Zach Kelsch, who is fucking awesome, amazing drummer.
Oh yeah,
he's just like a machine.
Super cool guy too.
Yeah, and he's great. And we always used to rag on him because he talked like that Carbondale, like that accent you guys have up here.
Right. Yeah.
And he was recommended to me from my friend Joe Caviston, who I met because he went to ESU, and I lived in Stroudsburg, and he was like kind of involved. And I guess he moved up here or lived up here, and he does all sorts of stuff up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And he suggested, I remember I was asking people, like, does anyone know drummers? I remember him saying something, and our friend Brad, who played in my brother's band at the time, they were called Pull the Pin. And they said, you got to check this guy out. Zach, he's an awesome drummer. I just remember like messaged him on Facebook or MySpace, maybe even at that point. It was, probably Facebook, but
yeah,
we met up and had a drink and we talked, and he was like, yeah, he was before he got crazy busy. And so then me, him, and then the same kind of thing happened. Someone suggested this guy, AJ, who's like, this guy is like an insane guitar player, which I wasn't really needing. Because I'm like, I was more into doing like a Foo Fighters kind of band.
Right.
But hey, I'll take a great guitar player.
Sure.
So I met AJ, and then the four of us kind of just started the band, and we recorded our first album. And we didn't really know each other. I knew Keith, but I didn't know the other two guys. It was kind of an interesting experiment almost for myself, where it's like, I've never played with these guys. I don't really know them. And we kind of used the shows we played and the time we spent together to learn and meet each other. And it worked really well. Zach eventually wound up starting to get really busy, and we got offered at the tail. So we were 2009, 2010 is like when we started the band and played, and that was it. And we recorded an album, and we got offered to do a full U.S. tour with the Ataris.
Wow.
And Zach was like, I can't go on this tour. And I was like, well, we're going on this tour, obviously.
Yeah, right.
So my brother's band, their old drummer was named Anthony. He lived in the Poconos, and I'd known him since I was in high school. And he was like all about it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So I got Anthony to come with us. And then AJ couldn't do the tour. So then my brother came and filled in on guitar. And for anyone who knows my brother, he's basically like a musical Swiss Army knife. He's played in 1 million bands, and he's played every instrument in that band. And anytime a band needs someone, they just, our bass player can't make it, I'll call Rob. Our drummer can't make it, I'll call Rob. So Rob came with us, and we did the U.S. tour with the Ataris. We recorded a couple more songs, like right at the end of that, and then that was it. And then we just kind of all didn't break up, and it wasn't like we don't want to play anymore. It was just kind of like everyone started living life in a certain way.
Right.
And then instead of playing every week, we started to play every month, and then we started to play every 5 months, and then eventually I was like, everyone is doing their own thing and whatever. And we'll play when we want to play.
Right.
Because I never took the band, again, one of the lessons I learned from Split 50 is I never took the band like, this is the most important thing in your life, and you have to, put everything into it. And if we don't succeed, like, our lives are over. Like,
Right.
And so many bands break up because of that attitude. So many good bands and so many local bands don't realize that your band does not fucking matter at the end of the day. No one gives a shit if you break up. No one gives a shit if you played this show or that show, or if you put out a new song. Like, huge bands break up and people go, oh, and then they don't fucking care anymore.
Right.
And then they'll get back together 10 years later and sell out an arena.
Sure.
So, like, no one gives a shit. So just relax, have a good time, make songs you like, and, just enjoy your time with your friends. And if you can connect with people and like give them something that means something to them equally as what it means to you and you're making it, then you're successful. That's the biggest thing I took away from doing this for the amount of time that I did it. But so we just kind of like faded out. Again, we were only a band for about 1.5 years, and I got involved into other stuff. I started my own business, and I started doing my own things, and Keith moved to Florida for a while, and then, everyone just wound up doing other stuff. My brother wound up doing a bunch of other bands. AJ wound up doing another band. So it was like, whatever, you know. And it wasn't a big deal, and I wasn't really upset about it. It was just like, hey, we did this cool little thing, got to go on tour, make an album, we're done.
Right. I mean, that's an experience that most people would kill for, and they never get the chance to do.
And I was very happy and lucky to have done it, kind of thing.
So what made you say, all right, let's bring this back? You know, I mean, quite a while later. I mean,
10 years.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, 10 years. So I started to notice intermittently, you know, over the last like 4 years, like I haven't picked up my guitar in a year. And it's like music, it sounds so cliche, but it's like literally like flows in my blood. Like it's like, I love it so much, and I love making it, and I love performing. And I started to notice that I wasn't doing it, and I wasn't caring about that either, which was kind of scary. She's like, this is something I love, and I don't even give a shit that I'm not doing it. But I didn't do anything about it. I was just like, whatever. You know, I haven't picked up my guitar. And every once in a while I'd grab it, just almost out of like a obligation. Like, I haven't played my guitar in a year. I better play a song. And I realized how bad I sucked all of a sudden. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm fucking terrible. Not that I was very good to begin with. But what wound up changing it, and I would get a lot of people in my ear, especially like Chris, actually from the Ataris, the singer. He would always like text me and call me and be like, dude, just got to do your band again. You guys are great. And I was like, yeah, you know, whatever, maybe. And last summer, my brother, who's the bass player in Bowling for Soup, texted me and was like, you should come on tour with us. And I was like, to do what? And it was like, just come, just hang out, drink. We have lots of free beer, just drink and sit around. Okay, I mean, that sounds cool. I work for myself, so I was like, I can kind of do whatever I want. So I said, all right, where's the tour? And they were doing like a co-headline tour with the band Real Big Fish. And it was out on the West Coast in California. The last time I was out in California was when we did that full US tour, and I really loved it out there. So I was like, sure, whatever, fuck it. So I just bought a plane ticket, started with them in San Francisco, and just like got in the tour bus and just rode with them for, you know, about 2 weeks, a week and a half. And I didn't do shit. I mean, all I did was sit on the tour bus and drink beer. I was like, literally, he was right. And then I watched them play. But one thing I noticed is like the first day, I remember it was in San Francisco, I got off the plane. I actually met up with my brother and our old bass player, Ian, from my original band, is now Bowling for Soup's guitar tech.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because my brother got in the job.
Right.
And the three of us met up in a connecting flight on the way. And we're like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Like 20 years later, like the three of us are getting ready to board a flight to go out to the West Coast to like go on this huge tour. And I remember the second we got to California, got out of the Uber and stepped into the venue. And like I walked in and I was like, holy shit, like I missed this. Like I missed this so much. What have I been doing the last 8 years or 10 years that I haven't been playing? And it just kind of like lit this like fire where I was like, I want to do this again. I want to start writing songs and playing. And then as the tour went on, I got just more of that, like more ingrained into me. Like every show I'd watch them play and be like, fuck, like I wish that was me now. Like I was starting to get like jealous, like hanging out with all those guys and then watching them get to go play for all these people who were stoked about their band. And then I was like, you know what? All right, as soon as I get home, I'm going to call everybody up and see what they're up to and see if they want to like work on some stuff. And I started to like think of song ideas when I got home from that tour. I was home for about a month. It was in July. And I started to write songs and I started to talk to everyone like, hey, maybe we should do a show. Like, you know, like whatever. And everyone was like really receptive and excited about it. And then I talked to Jarrett, the singer from Bowling for Soup, in that one, like in July. And he was basically like, hey, come back on tour. Like, we're doing a tour in Florida this time. And I was like, shit, yes, absolutely. It was so fun. And I gave him a bunch of our Don't Panic songs from before. And he immediately started texting me like, holy shit, this stuff's really good. Like, you guys are awesome. Like, why aren't you doing this anymore? And he kind of started to like really push me to like start doing the band again. So I went back on tour with them again in August or so, early August to Florida. And then when I got home, it was like, that was it. All right, I'm in, you know. started to work on new songs, started to record them on my computer, and started to like make plans to really like record an album and do shows and like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the long-winded version of how I got back into doing it.
That's what the format's for. We can be as long-winded as we want. So, so you had obviously put a new band together, so to speak. You know,
it's the same guys.
Same guys.
Yeah, it was Anthony, who was our drummer for the the full U.S. tour. AJ, our guitar player, and Keith from Split 50. It's the same, 3 guys from 10 years ago, just now. And I'm kind of just treating it as a new band.
Okay.
It's just to, like, hey, wipe the slate clean kind of thing. Like that was our practice 10 years ago. Like that was like our rehearsal. now let's really do it.
So are you keeping any of those old songs, or are you just kind of going with the new stuff now?
So at first I was really nervous about writing new music because I hadn't played guitar in multiple years, and now I'm trying to write songs. I'm like, I hate myself. Like that's how everybody is, right? When you're an artist, especially, you write books or you make music, like you just hate everything you do.
Right.
And I listen back to our old songs, like I fucking kind of hate these songs, but I don't even think I could write better stuff anymore. So I started to like write some new songs, but they were like really whatever, they're just like really sketching out what I can do. And I was like, I want to do an album, but what I think we should do is re-record our favorite songs from the stuff that we made originally and do them better and then make that our album. And that's how it started. But then as I was writing new songs, I was like, well, actually, this song's much better than that old song. So that old song gets the boot.
Right.
And then little by little, they all started to get the boot. So now it's down to we started playing some shows early this year and late last year, and we were playing like one song from 10 years ago. And then all the rest are new. Okay. So we're really trying to phase that old stuff out. Not that it, I don't think it's bad. It's just it's not where we're at right now.
Sure.
We're at a different musical place than then.
I mean, 10 years changes anybody.
Yeah,
so.
and again, it goes back to me being scared when I started the band, fresh out of being in Split 50, and I wasn't the singer, I wasn't the songwriter, I was like the third guitar player, backup vocal guy.
Right.
And I wrote those original batch of songs almost as like my favorite band's the Foo Fighters. So I was like, I'm just going to do a Foo Fighters band. And all those songs are just kind of like Foo Fighters B-sides. That's what they were. They were me like trying to be in the Foo Fighters and like me writing Foo Fighters B-sides. And I've heard people tell me that, like, this sounds like you could just be on a Foo Fighters album. I'm like, all right, I mean, that's cool. I like that. But when I decided to do this again, I was like, I really want to make it me. Like, I don't want it to be the safe option where it's like, I'll just copy somebody. I want to really do my own sound or my own thing and draw from like the bands that I like, but still have it be like my music. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, as a writer too, I completely identify with that. I think a lot of artists make that mistake of, when they first try to do stuff, they're emulating their heroes. They're emulating, they're trying to do that kind of thing. Like I remember I wanted to, I was a big Kevin Smith fan. I still am.
He's great.
And watching his stuff, it was like I want to make a movie, and then I wrote a Kevin Smith movie, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Why would I do this?
A plot that kind of goes nowhere, a bunch of people lazing around.
I'm so glad we never shot that, because it would have just been a big ripoff of Kevin Smith, and everyone who watched it would have been like, oh well, it would have
been really cheap to make though.
That's a lesser Kevin Smith movie, yes, but probably even cheaper than what he made Clerks for. So, but then you learn over time, and it's like now I have a project in my head that's like wholly unique, totally different. Nobody else has done that before, and I'm tinkering with that, and I'm much more satisfied.
Yeah,
as an artist.
And you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time either.
No, absolutely.
I think that there's like a lot of people have a trouble finding that middle ground. Like a lot of bands start. I remember we played with this band called Census Fail when I was in the shortwave radio band. We played with them in this like skating rink in New Jersey, and they played before us, and they were a Blink-182 cover band. So all they did was play Blink-182 covers, and then we played. And we, as little kids, were like, fuck those kids. Like they came and write their own music.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands like that will then just be a Blink-182 band or be a Foo Fighters band and then there's other bands who try and go all sorts of crazy and do their own crap.
Yeah.
And there's always a good middle where it's like show your influences, but then show yourself. And I think that's super important for a band that's like actually trying to really do something. I think you want people to be able to connect to your music, and familiarity is definitely part of that. Like people like listening to a band and going, oh, that kind of reminds me of whoever. I remember when I was in Split 50, we recorded our album that we released with this guy Shep, who was a producer who did like Mandy Moore and Nick Carter and LFO.
Okay.
And we were like, let's do a pop producer do our album. But he was recording this band Bayside. And I'd never heard of them before. They're kind of new at the time. And he like, oh, you got to listen to this new song, press play. And it kind of sounded like Alkaline Trio. And I like the Alkaline Trio. And I was like, oh, this band's pretty cool. Like they're different. They remind me of this band. And like that got me to start listening to them. Now I'm a fan of the band. I like them. They're good. And I think that's kind of important too. Like having something for new people to kind of relate to and be like, oh, that kind of reminds me of this band, but not a ripoff, but like it's very similar. And a lot of bands struggle finding that middle ground where it's like it's your sound, but it's got that little bit of something that'll have people grapple onto.
So you had mentioned when we premiered your first song when you guys came back last month, No Time for Second Chances. You kind of want to go in a more power pop and punk rock and that kind of stuff direction, so to speak. So what kind of drove you to go in that direction?
So when I started my very, very first band, first of all, my favorite band, I say Foo Fighters, but realistically, my favorite band's the Beatles. But they're obviously incredible and amazing, and they've written some of the absolute best songs in the world, and blah, 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 blah. But that's also my parents just driving that into my brain when I'm a little kid.
Right.
So like when I started to get a little older and I heard like Dookie for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, this band's fucking awesome. And you show it to your parents, be like, that's garbage music, obviously. Right. But, then in the early 90s, it was like Nirvana and Green Day and like these kind of bands were the bands I started to listen to. And I just thought like, wow, this stuff's so cool. And it's like, it reminded me of the Beatles because it was like simple power chord. And Green Day is a big one. That Dookie album was one of my favorite albums for a really long time. It's just awesome. Every song's incredible. And when I started my band in like the late 90s, my brother, who was our drummer, got huge into Blink. They had just put out the Enema of the State album. So he was always like, well, we gotta be like Blink. And I really like that band Lit.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of theirs. Not so much now. They do a lot of country stuff now, and I'm not into that. But
okay. I didn't know they went that direction. I remember those first couple albums though were pretty
awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
pretty
Place
good.
in the Sun's a great album, and it's like that's that power pop sound that I like, where it's like this cool rock and roll guitar, but it's like this really catchy songs and really fun. And like I like that style. Like some of my favorite Foo Fighter songs are like Monkey Wrench, you know what I mean? Where it's just like this like upbeat, like power pop kind of rock song. So like I said, when we were originally doing it, Don't Panic, it was more like a Toadies, Tom Petty, Foo Fighters rock sound. And then when I decided to come back, I was like, well, I grew up on like punk rock music in my teen years. My favorite bands are like Face to Face and NoFX and Strung Out and like No Use for a Name and like those kinds of bands. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that back into stuff I do. So I was like, well, I love punk rock music, and I used to go to punk rock shows, and I played in a punk rock band, and I love power pop stuff, like even the radio stuff like Lit and like those kind of bands. And I remember when I was showing the songs, the old Don't Panic songs, to Jarrett from Bowling for Soup and his friend Linus, who's like their producer, and they kept texting me like, this is just awesome power pop music. And they started sending me like actual power pop bands that they listen to. Okay. And I was like, oh, this stuff's fucking awesome. Like, this is the kind of stuff I want to do, kind of mixed with like that punk rock sound that I grew up on. Also kind of mixed with like a Foo Fighters kind of sound and like a Thin Lizzy kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I just like mixing it all up and then just making it like my thing.
Yeah.
So And I'm sure also the fact that I was on that Bowling for Soup tour, and those guys are very that style where it's like fun radio, power pop punk music, definitely had like some amount of influence where I was like, oh, this is really fun. It looks really fun to play. I used to do it. Like, I kind of want to get back a little bit into that. So the first couple songs we're releasing are in that vein, for sure. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, immediately just hearing that song when you sent it to me, I'm like, this is fun to listen to, you know, and that you really want to go to shows like that, you know, you want to see something fun, you know, like there's you know, there's a time for, you know, serious contemplative stuff, and there's a time for that kind of fun.
And you
stuff.
can do both as an artist too, which people sometimes don't just even subscribe to. They're like, oh, you know, they don't like the band's like more serious songs or whatever.
Right. Well, look at Green Day, perfect example.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you can have an album like Dookie. You know, it's about like being a kid and, you know, screwing up and having fun and jerking off, whatever. You know, and then you can have like, you know, An American Idiot. That's you know, like this like rock opera that has all these, you know, messages and timely things that you're talking about. You know, like you can do both. And not only be successful, but, you know, like enjoy it as an artist.
Yeah. I have some really good friends of mine. They play in a band called Patent Pending. And they're, most people think of them as like this novel band because they're like very jokey. Like they're the band that has that song about Mario and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then they do have serious songs too. And like their fans just like eat it all up. And I love that. I've learned a lot from watching those guys as far as how to interact with people as your fan base and what you can and can pull off. And those guys just pull whatever they want off. And it's really impressive. And I think that more bands should explore having fun and then also being able to say something serious at the same time.
Sure.
And that's something I want to do. And that's something I'm trying to do with our band. And as we release more new songs, it's going to be kind of like that, where I have some songs that are a little less energetic, but a little more serious toned or talk about something a little more important to me. Although, like even that one that you mentioned, the content is a little more biting about like how I hate social media and woke culture and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot. I think you specifically mentioned cancel culture.
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. And you know, it and that kind of stuff. You know, it goes both ways. It's like it's great that you have people like you know, Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby taken out, you know, finally taken out in some form or another. And a lot of that
people.
is horrible people have done horrible things, finally getting their comeuppance. And then you see the other side of it where it's like, you know, James Gunn made a couple of jokes how many years ago that were a little edgy, no more edgy than anything that's on South Park or anything else.
Yeah.
And that 10 years later, he's long apologized for, and is still, people are trying to get him fired over that because of his politics.
I think people get addicted to that like high of like, I caught you, or you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not so much about helping other people as it's about making themselves feel like they did something good.
I took this big guy down, you know?
And it's really important that everyone uses context when they're trying to decide on whether or not something is supposed to be meant to be harmful.
Right.
And for instance, Bill Cosby raping passed out women is harmful. And Harvey Weinstein using his position to get people to sleep with him or do whatever he wants, that's harmful, and his intent is bad.
Right.
When someone makes a bad joke, even if it's in bad taste, it's still not meant to hurt the people that they're making the joke about.
Exactly.
Or if they say something inappropriate, they're human beings, they make a mistake, understand that, and know that you have probably done the same thing in other ways a million times, and people have let you off the hook.
Right.
Give people a little breathing room to be human, make some errors, say something stupid. I say stupid shit all the time. I'm sure I'll say something stupid on here at some point. And it's like, you don't need to kill everybody. You don't need to hang everybody for something that they said or did. As long as you understand and realistically look at it and be like, the intent was not to be harmful, or the intent was not to go after someone or be racist or misogynistic or whatever other bad thing you want to call them.
Sure, and I think we have different standards today than we had decades ago too.
Of course. I mean, there's like, you think of like the old like offices where the guy's like, get out of here, toots, and like slaps the girl in the butt as she's like leaving the office. Like,
right.
Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty easy.
Right, exactly.
But, you know, people just need to chill the fuck out is basically what that song's about. Like, chill out, like, live your goddamn life. Don't worry about me.
Right.
If I'm coming after someone bad, like if someone needs protecting, you'll know. Like, you'll know if something's bad and someone's being a piece of shit. And you'll know if someone's just being an idiot and saying something stupid.
And you know what? I feel like the problem with that type of stuff is people are very brave on social media, but they're not in real life when it's right in front of them. Like, perfect example,
for sure.
this past week, I just happened to see it in the paper the other day. About Scranton City Council. So we had just elected the first openly gay woman to Scranton City Council, which is fantastic. That's great. We were there for that. We covered it. We thought it's great. And then a couple weeks later, when she was not there, a guy came in, and we all know who he is, Bob Bolus. So he came in and started saying all this terrible stuff. Of course, when she wasn't there to defend herself. And what's troubling is that council didn't stick up for it, or they didn't stop it and say, hey, you know what? Shut up now. That's wrong. You don't even live in the city anymore. Cut you off and move on. But instead, they gave that guy a platform and they let him say what they want to say. And now she has to respond, and it's this back and forth.
So
whatever.
For me, it depends on what he's saying too. Like, I don't know. I don't know the situation. But if he's saying something derogatory directly about her,
which is exactly what he's making personal attacks.
If you want to say something bad about what she's done, that's a different story. And that's something that people have a hard time also separating.
Sure.
Is when you criticize what someone is doing.
Yes, that's
people
different.
like to assume that you're criticizing what they are.
She hasn't even been in office enough to criticize anything she's done yet. So yeah, you can't make that argument. But yeah, in some cases, I think people are like, okay, you can't say that because they
are this.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's not a good argument. And it's not healthy for society. And like we said, social media makes people more eager and feel more comfortable saying things because they don't have to really feel any repercussion.
Right.
And that's, again, what the song's about. It's, understand that just because, like, you're 1,000 miles away behind a computer doesn't mean, like, the shit you're saying or what you're doing is okay.
Right. And
just chill out and, let people be people. And that's it. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't.
So you have a new song that's coming out on March 20th. It's fall of '99, and you have a music video for that these guys who are shooting this right now, Ionic Development, shot at the Sherman Theater.
Yeah, so, very thankful to the Sherman, by the way.
I was gonna say, how do you even go about like getting them the access to the theater? To do that?
Again, this goes back to my Split 50 days. That used to be the local venue for us. We would headline shows there.
Okay.
And Rich reopened the theater. He's the owner, and he started doing shows there again. It was a theater was open a long time ago. They renovated it. He got a bunch of like grants or whatever, and they got the place up and going again and putting on concerts. I think it's awesome.
There's some great shows.
Yeah, there is. And so I've known Rich for a pretty long time. 15 years or whatever. And we used to do stuff all the time. So when it came time to shoot a music video, and I wanted the theme to be like a talent show audition. I got the idea from the movie, one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, Back to the Future. And in the beginning of Back to the Future, Marty goes to the school to do a Battle of the Bands talent show audition. And Huey Lewis is actually one of the judges. And in the talent audition, like, they're playing the Power of Love song from that movie.
Right.
And Huey Lewis, the judges were like, no, you guys are too loud. Like, sorry, you can't be in this Battle of Bands. So I was like, oh, that's a cool idea for a video. So what I wanted to do was expand on that and be like, okay, let's make it a talent show that Don't Panic is participating in. And we're going to be the band from Back to the Future. We're going to be Marty and his band from Back to the Future. And we're going to audition for the talent show. But then, like I said, my favorite band is the Foo Fighters, active band. And one of my favorite music videos they did was Learn to Fly.
Oh yeah.
Where they're every character in the video.
It's great.
He's the the flight attendant, and he's the pilot, and he's like the fat lady who sits down. Like he's every character, and man, that's so fun and that's so funny. Let's do that. So I kind of said it to my band, like, all right, here's the idea. We're gonna be Don't Panic auditioning for this talent show based on Back to the Future, but then we're also gonna be all of the other acts. So we're gonna come up with a bunch of talent show acts. We're going to dress up in silly costumes, and we're going to be those people. But then let's also be the judges. So we'll be the judges too. And then we'll be we'll be doing all the judge scenes of like watching the terrible acts. So I was like, well, we need to make it look, like a school or like an auditorium, because it's supposed to be like a battle of bands or a talent show. So we were looking around and trying to find some spots, and we looked at some like high school gym areas and some high school auditoriums. It's really hard to do stuff at a school because you need the whole day and like there's kids in school, and it's not easy. So I thought about it. I was like, man, the Sherman is kind of big, but I bet you we can make it look cool and like do. So I hit up Rich from the Sherman. I was like, hey, like, we want to do this thing, and he was always accommodating. He's very helpful to local people who want to do stuff. He's really interested in making sure like the Poconos have like a cool arts center, So he was like, yeah, come on over, come do it. You guys can have the day, We'll turn the lights on, open the doors for you, have at it. He known me for so long. He's like, I know you, so it's like something goes missing or broken, like I'll give you a call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just gave us the day, and we went and did it there, and it was a blast. We had a really good time. These guys were fucking great. They were troopers. We worked them for like 13 hours.
Yeah, I bet that's.
And
you got to play everybody.
I'm sure it wasn't like hey, let's do our music video. And we go stand in front of that green wall, and we just sit there and play our instruments, and you get every angle you could find. We do. Maybe it's the very first time I've ever done a music video, and it's definitely ambitious as far as the content.
Sure.
But I was like, fuck, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to have some stupid video where we're standing in some warehouse and there's like light shooting from different holes in the wall. Like, I don't care about that crap.
Right.
So let's just do something fun, And I've always thought music videos were dumb anyway, in all honesty, not to disparage their job. But
yeah,
I thought that it's like, this is just a commercial for your band.
Sure.
And you want to show, you want people to meet you. They want you to see you, what you look like, what you're about. And the bands that take the music videos real seriously, and they're like, yeah, we're in a dark room and we're so cool. Like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
You're not cool.
It looks so goofy especially when you think about it. It's like somebody had to stand there and like, look into a camera, look real tough and stuff.
Asshole.
It's like, that's goofy. Yeah.
So we had fun with it. So yeah, that's how. Yeah, we just wound up calling Rich, and he helped us out. It was just knowing someone. Just like 99% of the music industry is just knowing someone from doing something.
Yeah.
It's a good point of advice for anyone who wants to do music. Don't go to school for music. It doesn't do shit for you.
Right.
It's all about experience. Just go and do stuff. Play in bands, play at clubs, meet people, be a good person, and people will want to help you, and you help them back. It's all about, community crap. Mm-hmm. Here we are, this is exactly the whole point.
That's a running theme in a lot of interviews that I've done with artists. It's all about the connections you make over the years, and it might not even be in the band you're currently doing. It might be from 10 years ago.
A lot of the stuff we're doing now is from connections I made forever ago.
Sure.
Yeah.
So do we want to play a clip from that? We actually have, because we have Ionic here shooting.
Yeah, they have it. So I didn't know we were going to do this, but we're going to do it. So I guess we're going to play a little clip from the music video. It's I already set it up, and it's not.
Like we're on the Tonight Show setting up the clip.
It's done. It's not going to be a clip of Mac and me, unfortunately.
No, I wish it was.
Yeah. So no, it's the actual music video clip. So enjoy, I guess.
Take a look.
Yeah.
To end. I'm rolling cabs in a toast again. I'm 15 kids and a busted microphone. Like shortwave radio. So stoked and flat broke. I'm too dumb to know it would get better than I was happy when
That's all you get.
Yeah, that's it. So until March 20th, right?
No, that was the whole thing.
No, that's it?
Yeah.
That's all we're getting?
Yeah, March 20th. So next...
I'm totally confused on the story then.
Yeah, that was it. Sorry. No, it's next Friday.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Right? Next Friday, right? Yeah, next Friday. The song's coming out, digital everywhere, iTunes, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Everyone has that.
Sure.
And then the video we're going to put up on Facebook and YouTube and enjoy.
So make sure you're following these guys on social media.
Please, Don't Panic Official. That's the / after Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple other bands with their name that popped up during our break. And I'm not a douche, I don't want to go around like we have the name. The album we put out was like distro through ADA, which is like a Warner Brothers label, like back 10 years ago. We kind of have like all that publishing stuff like lined up.
Right.
But whatever. If there's like a local band from like Tempe, Arizona that has our name, like use it until we were out on tour there, and then you're gonna have then you're gonna have to figure something out.
Right.
But for now, whatever, it's fine.
Okay, cool. That's more generous than most bands.
Yes. I'm not gonna send fake lawyer emails like people would do.
So you guys record at Soundmine Recording Studio.
We do,
which is
unbelievable place.
Yeah, and so many people in the Stroudsburg, Poconos area seem to record there. It seems to be like
I've noticed a lot of people from like Lehigh Valley and Scranton record there a lot too. And honestly, they get a lot of bigger international stuff. So I met Danny from Soundmine again, Split 50 Days. Like I said, it always comes back to stuff you did before. Yeah. And we recorded both of our albums there. And he's just like a great guy. He's so fun to be around. Really funny. He's an incredible engineer. And he's got the best gear anywhere. Unbelievable stuff. Millions and millions of dollars. So if you want to go rob him, go ahead. But that's not really, really heavy stuff. So you probably won't get out the door. But so in our break of Don't Panic, we did our 1.5 years. We recorded our album with like a friend. It wasn't that great. It was fine. In that meantime, our guitar player AJ wound up becoming an engineer at Soundmine. Like he got it. That was his job that he got. So when we got the band back together and started like, hey, let's do this record an album. He's like, I work at Soundmine. And I was like, I know Danny for 20 years and I recorded albums with him. So between the two of them, we were able to like set up time and do it, and it was fucking awesome. And
nice.
It was just as good as I had hoped it would be. It sounds great. The studio's awesome. They have good rates. They really work with people. It's just an incredible studio. Like if you're from Northeast PA, like just go record there. It's unbelievable. And it's in Stroudsburg. It used to be up in Marshall's Creek, like up in the woods, and they moved more into the town of Stroudsburg, and it's easy to get to, and I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. We had a great time.
Speaking of that, what is the Stroudsburg Pocono music scene like?
I have no idea. I used to be neck deep in that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's all I did. When I was,
now you're kind of dipping your toes back in.
Yeah. So from like 15 years old to 27 years old, I spent all of my time Stroudsburg shows, and Stroudsburg had the best goddamn shows you can imagine. Like I said, there's a place called Toast Cafe in Stroudsburg, and we played shows there with My Chemical Romance and All American Rejects and like all these bands that the club was this big, and there was 15 people there. You know what I mean? And and eventually the shows in that area just built and built and built. And there'd be 400 people at a local show, local bands playing, and it'd be packed. Didn't matter who was playing. There was a club called the Underworld they used to do in Stroudsburg, and there was, before that, a place called Spanky's. It was up here, I think, actually. And Bismo's was in Stroudsburg. Spanky's was up here. Bismo's was in Stroudsburg. And there was just always awesome shows. And the Poconos was an awesome scene. So when I was in shortwave radio and then in Split 50, I was always as involved as I could be. And I wanted to make sure that there was always cool shows there. That was like, me and the singer Zach from Split 50 got real hands-on. We were like, let's make sure there's always awesome shows in our hometown. And we'd always help bands come, and like we'd have like bands like All Time Low and Motionless So White come open for us and like build up the scene over there. And And then when I stopped doing that band, I didn't get involved in it anymore. I think it's kind of just gone. Unfortunately, I think it's starting to come back a little bit. We did a show, the Sherman Theater has like a little side room that they started doing like 100-person shows in. And we played a show there with this band Bigwig, who's like a punk rock band that I used to love back, when I was younger. And we did a show there and it was sold out and it was awesome. Just a cool 100-person room. And like, you got that feeling again, like, oh, maybe the scene will come back around here. So I'm hoping people start to go to shows again around that area because it used to be awesome. And I've noticed that, like, I think that's like almost a trend.
For sure.
Like, it used to be fire hall shows everywhere, all the time. You couldn't you couldn't go to the CD store, which don't barely exist, without seeing flyers for everyone's VFW, Elks Lodge, fire hall shows. That doesn't really seem to be the case anymore, unless I'm just really old and I don't go to school, so I don't get those flyers. But I haven't heard about fire hall shows or VFW shows really going on that much. And I think that'd be cool if people brought that back. I always thought that was like, that's what you cut your teeth on. Like, you play with the PA speakers sitting on the chairs, in front of you, and there's 25 kids, and like you're trying to get them amped so the next time 50 kids are there, and like that's how you learn to like promote your band. And also, it's almost like practice. Like, you get better each time. I don't know what people do now. I don't. I really don't. Like, if you're a new band and you're 17 years old or 16 years old, what do you do? Like, I don't know.
It's tough because a lot of these places are bars, and
there's no all ages. Like, is that Stage West place all ages?
They do some all ages shows here and there, but
not that many. So it's like unique.
Carl Hall is probably one of the only
in
ones.
Wilkes-Barre, right? I heard about that place, and they only do one a month or something.
Yeah, they do shows on a regular basis, but in terms of like those new breakout bands and stuff, probably maybe once a month or so.
And people need to give local and area bands a chance.
Sure.
If they suck, whatever, they suck, give them a year, come back, watch them again. It'll be better. I was terrible when we started. My band was awful.
That's the worst part is, I think, in terms of, there's people who will go to local shows no matter what. And I know all those people because I see these people every week when I go to shows and cover stuff. But there's the general populace really needs to be, sadly, told what to enjoy before they can enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like they have to move out of the area to go to a big city, become a big thing, get signed to a label, whatever, put a hit on the radio, whatever, and then people here are like, oh yeah, I was a fan of them the whole time. And it's like, no, you weren't.
Funny to mention, because even that doesn't happen sometimes. Like, not to keep bringing up my brother's band at Bowling for Soup, those guys are from, like, not Dallas, like, I guess, like, northwest of Dallas somewhere. And Jarrett, the singer, was always telling me, like, people in our hometown hate our band. They never came to see us. They'll play, in Philadelphia, and 1,000 people will go.
Yeah.
But then, like, people just don't like them. We're from there, so no one gives a shit.
I've always wanted to talk to, you mentioned Motionless in White. When I interviewed them years ago when I was in newspapers, I had talked to them about a show where they were doing in the area, which was rare because they didn't play here too often. And they were like, yeah, you know what, hometown wise, like, we had a small following, but we never really had anything big. It wasn't until we got out of the area that we really got a following. And then, like, a few years ago, they put out like that 570 song, and they're talking about like coming from Scranton. It's like, that's cool, but it's like, did his attitude change about the area, or is he just trying to say like, is he just trying to say like, oh yeah, we came from here, but now like,
so I've known Chris and all those. Well, I don't know the rest of the new band now. I remember like Balls and Angelo and Frank, and I remember like all the old guys.
Yeah, we've had Balls on the show.
So I've known those guys forever, and we used to do Split 50 shows with them all the time. We got them on Warped Tour with us. Like, when we were on Warped Tour, we got them on Warped Tour. And we would always help them because we love those guys. Me and Zach helped record their albums, and Zach helped put their album out, the first album.
Yeah.
And they've always loved the area. It's just, sometimes people don't give you the love that you need back.
It's such a closed-minded area when it comes to
So when you leave, and then when you
stuff.
come back, people are like, oh yeah, you're from here. We love you.
Right, yeah.
And they're just the greatest guys. They're amazing. I love Chris. He's one of the nicest dudes.
Totally.
And I haven't seen him in a while, but I was always happy to play with them and help them and just be involved in their career in any way. It was always great. I used to help them book shows. I was like, anytime they want to play, I'd always like, oh yeah, I'll get you. You know, and I help them like book shows all over the area. But they're great guys.
And they're obviously people have mixed feelings about Breaking Benjamin and stuff, but
I don't really know them. I don't like their music personally.
At the end of the day, it's like, you still gotta at least there's two guys in the band that are from the Wilkes-Barre area in general or lived here for a long time, so maybe
cool.
Maybe it's not your thing, but like
I think it's awesome when there's bands.
For the hometown
when
guys,
bands come out of the area, it's just cool. Like
Sure.
oh yeah, they're from wherever. They're from Stroudsburg, or they're from those guys from wherever they're from, Scranton.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like I said, I didn't really like them. I didn't really like their music, but I have no problem with them. Like, go do your thing. That's awesome.
So you had mentioned Bowling for Soup. You guys are opening for them this Friday.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So it's in Anchor Rock Club in New Jersey.
Yep, and Atlantic City.
Yeah. Goalkeepers is opening too.
Yeah.
How did that show come together? Obviously, you have the connection there, but
a little bit. So when we decided to get back together to start working on new songs, I recorded a bunch of stuff. And these songs that the new ones, I sent to the singer Jarrett, because we became like friends on those tours I went on, and he just like loved them. I don't know. He was just over the moon about them, and he said basically like he wanted to pseudo manage our band. So he was like, just like let's work together, let's do stuff. Like let me help you guys. And every move I've made almost in the last like 5 months has been basically under his suggestions. He'll tell me like, all right, do this now do this, and I'm just following it because he knows what he's doing. And they played at the Mount Airy Casino. Was it Mount Airy? Yeah, Mount Airy Casino in Swiftwater back in September, and they let us play that show, and it was a great time. And it was actually maybe our first. I think it was our first show back.
Okay.
Was that show, which is like fucking awesome. Like,
yeah,
you're not playing in a fire hall, I'm playing for 1,000 people.
Sure.
And then my brother, like I said, he's the bass player in the band, so he kind of just gave me the advanced like, hey, this is not confirmed or announced yet, but we're playing a show in Atlantic City. Like, you should try and get on. I was like, well, all right. When you have advanced notice, it's a lot easier.
Sure.
Once a show's announced, like, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you're a band and you're like, oh, this band I love is playing this club, I'm going to call the club and ask or email the club. They're going to be like, no, the show's announced. Like, it's all set. Like, you're done. I'm lucky. I know someone. I'm related to him. My mom birthed both of us. So I'm able to call. I'm able to find out those like little bits of advance.
Nice.
Everyone's got to have something.
Sure.
That's totally. I used it when I had it. He said, we're playing a show in Atlantic City. Get on the show. I said, okay.
Cool.
So I hit up Jarrett. I hit up the club. I said, here's the deal. Like, we want to play. And the club's like, okay, yeah, you could open. I'm like, great.
Cool.
Pretty easy. It's usually not that easy.
No, it's
much harder than that usually. So I'm lucky in that sense.
So, and then you have 2 other shows coming up. So if you can't make that one, you're playing the Holly Martin Memorial Show and Benefit on Thursday, April 2nd, One Center Square in Easton.
Yeah.
Wild Plains, Dear Anna, and Emily Noel.
Yeah, that's our friend Micah, who plays in the band The Crowning. His wife passed away.
He's a friend of mine as well. He's been on the show before.
Great guy.
Great guy, great family.
Oh yeah, huge family.
Completely, yeah. I bust him about that all the time because I'm not a kids guy.
Me either. I've none.
I can't imagine having that many
one
kids,
as opposed to 7. I mean,
sure,
yeah,
right.
I can't even deal with 1. So
my heart goes out to
same
to him
and
that's
the second that it was John Rupp over at Center Square. He was just like, hey, we're doing this benefit for Micah's family. I was like, yep, I don't even care. I don't even need the rest of the info. Like, good, we're in, When I only met him in November for the first time. So when we came back playing shows, I wanted to know, well, where's the Stroudsburg scene? That was the first thing I wanted to do. Was like, let's do a local show. So I looked around and I was like, there's no Stroudsburg bands. And the only one I found was The Crowning. And I was like, so I hit him up. I was like, hey, my name's Ted. Like, I used to be super involved. I'm not anymore. I want to get back into it. Like, let's talk. Let's do a show. And he was just like, yeah, man. Like, he was just so open. We played the show with them in November in Stroudsburg, and he was just a great dude. I met Holly there too. She was very nice. And then, like I said, me and him kept in touch. You know, we just like bullshit every once in a while. And then I heard about that, and I was just like, fuck, we're there. You know what I mean? We're there to help. So whatever, you know, come if you're from the area, if you know them, come support, help that family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she, his wife, passed away tragically.
It's suddenly,
way too young. Yeah, it's completely suddenly. So make sure you come and help out that family. That's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
And then the Sherman Showcase on Saturday, April 11th, with Groundwork and Headspell.
Yep, that's gonna be like our home show. I want to do like a Stroudsburg show like once every 6 months or so. You know, play home, get people stoked. I'll come back 6 months later. Hopefully you're still stoked and more people will come. So I'm really excited about that. And home shows are always fun. It's like friends and family and I've been getting a lot of messages from people I don't know who are just like, I like your band. I'm like, awesome. Something's going good. Like, come to the show, you know? So that's the stuff we have confirmed and planned right now. And then we have other stuff coming up later in the year. We're going to do a tour. So, like, we've been friends with the guys in the Ataris for a very long time. And Chris, the singer, has just always been super supportive of me and super supportive of my music specifically, like always telling me like, right, you're great, like blah, blah, blah. And they're doing a tour in June and July of like the Midwest and East Coast, or Northeast specifically. So we're going to do like 9 shows with them in July. Awesome. Just do like, you know, basically Western PA up to Boston, down to Philly. Just that little corridor of cities, 9 shows in there. And it's funny because we have a weird history with them. Really good friends, but there was a brief period of time where my brother didn't really get along with Chris. So my brother, before joining Bowling for Soup, played in the Ataris.
Okay.
And he had joined the Ataris from being on tour with them with Don't Panic. So another lesson, like you meet people and you just keep getting better jobs.
Right.
So he went on tour with the Ataris as their drummer. And at one of the shows, they got into like some sort of scuffle, and Chris wound up like throwing the drum set at him. It was like on TMZ. It was this whole big thing. And we didn't get along for a little bit after that.
Yeah.
And
I could see that.
Yeah. And then Rob and Chris made up. And then then I said to Chris, like, well, if Rob's cool with you, then I'm cool with you. And then we're all great friends now. It's been, a couple years and everyone's cool. And so he was just like, I was talking to him and we're just like, hey, let's do some shows. I want to do some shows with you guys. And he's like, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Cool.
So yeah, we're going to do that in July, the first week of July. And then the first week of August, actually, we're going to do another 9-day tour. We're going to be supporting the Richie Ramone from the Ramones, the drummer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he does his own band. And they asked us to go on tour with them.
Yeah, he's been in Scranton a couple of times.
Yeah, he played in Scranton like last year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Stage West, I think.
Yep. So we're going to do a lot of the similar cities. So we're going to do the Atari stuff in the first week of July. Then we're going to do Richie tour the first week of August. And same stuff, like Northeast PA, Southern PA, New Jersey, Boston, Pittsburgh, like all that crap.
Okay. Cool.
So that's like about as far into the future as I know.
Yeah.
After that, I guess I don't have a life after that.
So make sure you're following these guys on there to keep up.
Because we'll be dead after August.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you want to
get in there now while they're still alive and making music. And then you can enjoy them while they're still around. So, all right. So, I want to wrap up to have you play a song for us.
Okay, cool.
And before we get to that, I just want to kind of quickly address this whole little thing. So, last Thursday, our photographer Jason Reedmiller went out to shoot one of his. He has a photography series that he's been doing on the site for years called "Beautiful People of NEPA." And sometimes he goes to like a music festival. Sometimes it's like, I'm just going to go downtown and walk up to people and be like, hey, can I take your picture? And that type of thing. Sometimes it's stuff that he's shot in his studio, whatever. But he loves doing portraits. So it's kind of an ongoing portrait series. And sometimes he adds his little commentary underneath the photos, like, hey, I know this person from here, or I went to this festival and here was my experience meeting this person for the first time. They were doing something weird and I thought, I'll take their picture, that kind of thing. And it's a cool little column. So from the beginning of NEPA Scene, we've been here for 5 years, almost 6 years, come the fall. And we've always had columns from different perspectives. Sometimes it's somebody just writing about video games. Sometimes people writing about movies. His thing is photography, so he does kind of a photography / commentary sort of little thing. I've done some columns, and I have some stuff coming up in the works that will be coming in the future. So he went downtown to cover the Trump rally at the Scranton Cultural Center. So right away, you're putting yourself in some political territory where people are kind of on edge and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So his idea was, I'm going to take some pictures of some people hanging out at this thing on both sides, because he's a guy who. Yeah, I'm sure, having known him for so many years, he leans liberal, but he has plenty of conservative friends. And so his goal was just to kind of take pictures of what was going on, who was there, why they were there, that kind of thing. And so he did his little column. So whenever we have a photo gallery coming up, usually the photographer will post a photo or two as a sample of what's going on there. And then, look for more photos in the coming days, the next day or two. So he posted a photo of the protesters outside of this Trump rally. So, of course, that immediately sparked a political response, and all these people kind of went crazy in the comments. And so at this point, usually this is the head of a publication saying, I apologize if you were offended, and I'm so sorry. I do not apologize. I will never apologize for letting people express themselves the way that they want to, especially a guy like Jason who is an artist in himself. All his photos are art. What he's doing is art. So we're not going to apologize for posting art on an arts and entertainment publication, nor are we going to apologize for talking about any sort of thing. And it's funny because the whole kind of point that I took away from his column anyway, I didn't ask him for permission or say, what are you doing with this? I read it just like any other reader would and edited it and said, oh, okay, I think the idea here is that you don't necessarily have to agree with people to see them as people. It's beautiful people of NEPA.
You're also just showing something that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And what's funny is the photo that he posted was just the caption was just, here's what they're doing. It's not.
Yeah, it's not like this is good.
Yeah, exactly.
This is bad. You're just like, this happened.
This happened. Yeah, and people went crazy. But what's funny is we got more followers out of it than anything else. The people who didn't like it, there's a very small but vocal minority who still, this is almost a week later now, are still commenting on that thing to this day. Because every time people comment, my phone blows up. So at all hours of the night, you have people commenting on this thing, and all those damn liberals and protesters and whatever. And it's like, well, obviously you missed the point of the piece. You wanted to go on about stuff. But I just wanted to clarify, like, we're always an alternative publication. Like, that's what NEPA Scene has been. We've always been the alternative to the big guys down the street. We've always been the alternative to the other publications in the area that may or may not be doing so well these days. And a lot of that is because we just we do what we want. We cover what we want. We cover what we're passionate about. And anything that's labeled as an opinion piece or an editorial or a column is clearly labeled as such. So yeah, we have general pieces that are just about, oh, here's what's coming to the area, here's the news, here's arts and entertainment, whatever. That is unbiased, I guess you would say. But the editorial, anything that's labeled as a column, like Beautiful People of NEPA, they can say what they want to say, and I only edit for grammar. I edit because I agree or disagree with whoever's writing it.
Yeah.
So
it's such an issue because people tether themselves so much to what they think instead of just being a rational person who says like,
right.
Yeah, that happened. I don't agree, but I understand that when people were there, they thought that. Because personally, I mean, I'm not a big politics person when it comes to being verbal about it. I have my thoughts. Mm-hmm. I'm generally liberal person, but I don't care if there's people who don't agree with me. I don't want to kill them, and I don't want to force them to also agree with me. Just you believe what you believe because it's good for you and it's good for your family or your friends or whatever's important to you.
Right.
And I'm not going to change that.
Yeah.
No one's going to change that. It's just what's good for you. And that's okay. And I don't dislike someone or like someone because of those things.
Sure.
I have so many very conservative friends. And I have so many people who are way too liberal about stuff. It's just like, who gives a shit?
Right.
Just like enjoy life and look at things that are happening. If you didn't say something that was like, that asshole or these stupid protesters or vice versa. Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, you're showing something that happened. Maybe you didn't show the people who were supporting him. We all know there's people supporting him. He had a rally. He was there.
Right, exactly.
There's a million people there to see him.
Exactly.
And there's however many people were there to not see him, who don't want him there. It's fine. Both are fine.
And if we wanted to cover it like the other guys, we would do that. But we don't want to do that.
Yeah, your article would be titled "Millions Show Up to Protest Trump" or something.
Yeah, it's just
stupid.
the same old stuff. And it's funny because on Thursday when we posted the photo by itself, it was we were biased liberal media. Then the next day, the liberals were saying we were the tolerant left who support fascism, and it's like, okay, well,
that's what I'm saying.
Either we're one or the other.
It's funny because
it can't be both.
It goes right back to the song that I wrote, where it's like everyone is just so extreme. They cannot let people just be who they are.
There's no nuance.
As long as they're not doing the intent.
Yes,
you're not trying to hurt anybody. You're just trying to report what you saw.
Exactly,
and it's not even you. It's a guy that you're giving the platform to show his photos.
Exactly. And that's his personal perspective. And I may or may not disagree with it.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't
honestly.
matter. Yeah, exactly.
Matter.
That's the whole point of having a column is being able to do that kind of stuff. But I guess there's maybe some people who've come into liking the page later and did not understand. But I mean, we've covered the stuff at the Scranton and Wilkes-Barre school districts, the Keystone Sanitary Landfill, racism in the area with Black Scranton Project, sexism with female artists in the scene, the importance of free speech and stand-up comedy, why Scranton is considered the unhappiest city in the area, and how drugs and alcohol have played a role, because we've been labeled as that by people out of the area.
Have they been to Pleasant Valley before?
Apparently not. The opioid epidemic. We had an ongoing LGBT column, and the only reason we aren't still doing it is because she's moved on to other things and didn't want to write it anymore, but we would still be doing that to this day if that was the case. So we've always covered that kind of stuff before, so I'm not really sure why people are like confused that we posted this or whatever, but we're going to continue to do that. And I interviewed Bernie Sanders the last time that he was here. I will interview him again if he comes here. I would interview Donald Trump. I would interview Hillary Clinton. I would interview Joe Biden if we had the access to that. Usually as a small independent publication, we don't get that kind of access, but every once in a while we do. So if that is the case, I will do that. But I'm going to talk to anybody who comes to the area and makes some kind of waves or whatever. So this is my non-apology, essentially, for doing whatever the hell we want. We're going to continue to do that. And if that makes people uncomfortable, then oh well. So do we have any comments? We have Alan says this guy knows what he's talking about. So obviously he likes what you're doing. Popko says don't drink the Corona. Well, too late. He's already drank a whole bunch of it.
I've got the virus now.
That's it.
I'm usually a Miller Lite guy, to be honest. And that's still swill. It's still awful beer, but I just drink it. I don't know. My brother's the craft beer guy.
It's all
Brad,
about the
Brad.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just about the joke. I would have brought Miller Lights if it was up to me. To be like, if I don't want to try and be funny, which who probably wasn't funny, but
Hey, we got a few comments, so people notice.
yeah, all right.
Speaking of Brad, he said, "How is Buck?"
Buck's great. That's the name of our new van. And that's the name of our old van that died. It's actually in the song.
This is Buck too.
This is Buck Jr. It's kind of like Nick Jr. Buck died, and it was unfortunate. It was a great van, and we bought a new van, so his name's Buck Jr. So he's great, Brad. Thank you.
The Frost says you're 1,000% right. I think she was referring to when you were talking about making connections and
Probably
stuff
about
like
everything.
That. Probably about
Yeah, it was about everything.
It said a good song, creative video. Chris says super dope quality on the video and cool transition with that switcher. So
Yeah, there you go. Good job, guys.
All right,
What a crew.
Ionic, yeah, killing it. I mean, this show gets better looking every time. You know, I said just
And the guests.
as long as
get better
you as long as you keep me not in focus and you keep the guests in focus, it'll be great. You know, that
makes it better.
That's the whole point of the show. And Brad also mentioned Rob missed my wedding to get a drum set thrown at him.
Yeah, he was on the Ataris tour. He missed Brad's wedding. Yep. And I wasn't invited, so I missed it too, Brad. Wherever you are.
So thank you everybody who tuned in. Listen to us rant, listen to us chat. And so what song are you gonna close out with tonight?
I'd be amiss if I didn't just play the song that the music video is for and that's coming out. So I'm just gonna play that for these guys because they haven't heard it enough times.
Sounds good, man.
So this song's called Fall of '99. It's about that time of year, the fall of 1999, when I started my first band and we were playing shows and all the things that kind of happen. And when you're a young kid, what you expect to come out of what you're doing as opposed to the reality of what's going to happen. So, yeah, that's it.
Take you back to when rolling cabs in a toast again. 50 kids and a busted microphone. Started like shortwave radio. So stoked, flat broke. Too dumb to know it wouldn't get better than. I was happy when I was growing up to a punk rock melody. We were rock and roll sinners, a hand-me-down sprinter with a 24 and blue ribbon beers. All the drive-through dinners, blowing out the speakers to the vandals, no effects and the queers. We only knew 4 chords and we knew for sure we'd be famous by the end of the year. We didn't know it, we didn't see it at the time. No, we didn't know it. We had it all back in the fall of '99. Whoa, whoa. Well, Buck died and we needed a ride. Walked a mile down 95 with a hard case full of broken strings. Would have given anything to stay there in that punk rock melody. We were rock and roll sinners, a hand-me-down sprinter with a 24 of blue ribbon beers. All the drive-through dinners, blowing out the speakers to the vandals, no effects and the queers. We only knew 4 chords and we knew for sure we'd be famous by the end of the year. But we didn't know it, we didn't see it at the time. No, we didn't know it. We had it all back in the fall of '99. We were rock and roll sinners, a hand-me-down sprinter with a 24 of blue back in the fall of 99. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Thank you. Now I gotta pee.